In this week's Parsha Tazria, we learn about a skin affliction called tzaraat. Now, if a person notices he has signs of this, he has to go to the Kohen. The Kohen is the only one who can declare whether it is actually tzaraat or not. And if it is tzaraat, this is the procedure that the person has to go through. And I'll read you the pasuk in English for those who don't understand Hebrew. And the person with tzaraat in whom there is an affliction, his garments shall be torn, the hair of his head shall be unshorn, his cloak, he should cloak himself up until his lips, and to call out, contaminated, contaminated. And all the days of the affliction is upon him, he shall remain contaminated. He is contaminated. He shall dwell in isolation, his dwelling shall be outside the camp. Now, I think this procedure is very specific and it has a very good reason for it. The person we're told, somebody who is a mitzora, who has tzaraat, it's usually due to motzi it's for usually for slander. Someone speaks slander about somebody else, but the sages also tell us that it can be the core of the issue and the problem. Usually, it's pride and selfishness, and it could be for other sins that someone who is full of pride or very selfish would do, such as um, make false oaths, robbery, sexual immorality, bloodshed, really all sorts of horrible things. But this is an affliction that he gets that is really a gift from God, telling him you have really strayed and you need to get a grip, correct your ways, and change because this is not what you were created for. And I think the fact that right away he rips his garments, we're told in our religion that's what we do when we mourn. When we lose one of our close seven relatives, we rip our clothes when we hear about the death. And the reason why we would do that now is because really we're mourning a loss of our greater self, of the potential we had to do good things when we strayed and we did this bad thing. So right away, we mourn the loss of that opportunity to do good and to be the person we were supposed to be and that we've strayed. So that's the first thing we do. We show these signs of mourning and we cloak ourselves in this garment showing that we're in mourning, and we have to scream out contaminated, contaminated. Now I think that's also really important psychologically. We know that people tend to be in denial all the time. You don't really believe something until you've said it. When you say something, it is the power of it hitting you right away that something happened, that it's true, that it's real. And so the person has to yell out contaminated, contaminated. And I think that really brings them to deal with this reality of the state that they are in now. They're about to go and to be isolated. I mean, this is a God sanctioned time out for 7 days for a person to sit and to reflect and to really think about how he went wrong and what to do and change his ways. And this is really important. I mean, we know timeouts. I showed you a picture with kids that when they do something wrong, you want them to think about it. You don't want to just, I know with my own kids when they were little, I didn't want to just say sorry. You really want them to know. Do you know what you did wrong when you called her a name or took your sister's this, whatever it is? You want them to think not just like, oh, I know I did it wrong. I'm sorry because, my mother is angry at me or, she's crying. But think about it. Think about what you did, why you did it, why it's wrong. And is that the kind of person you want to be? And so many things. A knee jerk, I'm sorry, or in the olden days, let's say to bring a korban, a sacrifice or a prayer, just to do right away is not really going to change a person. A person really needs to reflect. And I think we need to do deep down digging into our person when we really do something that's wrong, that we need a change. And it takes a lot of work on yourself, a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking sometimes. Why, where, how, and what are we going to do to be different? And I don't think that it's something that can happen so quickly. I do think that time is required in order to have changed. And that's why after 7 days, the person has to be inspected again and to see if that malady is still tzaraat or not. They have to check it and see, because it's really just a reflection. This malady that the person has is a reflection of what's going on inside. It's a spiritual ailment, and the Kohen can see if they're clean now or if they're not, if they need another 7 days, because some people, they'll stew and they'll come up either with wrong conclusions or not, it won't be enough for them. They'll still be in denial. Some people need more time. That's just different people, different ways, work different ways. And I think this is really something that I relate to so much with what we've been through with the corona, where, you know, on a worldwide scale, we're so guilty of slander specifically on such a wide magnitude as never before, because of the internet, because of all the social media and all the different venues, and that people knee jerk slander people without a second thought. And you can't quarantine all. Look, we don't have this, obviously, we don't have this malady nowadays, but I think it's gotten so out of hand. I think this is a God sent thing that we all needed a time out. And the only way to accomplish that was really with Corona. I know people don't like reasons for diseases and things that happen, but it's so plainly obvious to me that we're so guilty of this. And so if you don't want to say that this is not for this, I think it's still a learning tool. And the fact that we are so quick nowadays to bring somebody down so quickly, with the words that we say that aren't careful, and that we don't realize the kind of harm we can inflict on other people's lives, and the danger that is inherent with that kind of activity. I think we needed to reflect on our actions. I don't think we learned the lesson personally. I think that's why we got kept getting kicked with, a second wave of Corona, third wave of Corona, fourth wave. And I don't know. I really think I'm not surprised if God just gives up and says that these people, they're not capable of much better. I don't really see much improvement, but I really hope, I don't know. I really hope that people do see and do know and do understand. I mean, it's made an impact on me, so I'm guessing it's made an impact on a lot of other people as well. And like I always say, change sometimes is incremental. It it can't always. Sometimes something so tragic like the way Corona has affected so many lives will be enough. Sometimes it's not. But I think that's why we got to keep talking about it and hopefully let the time outs that we've had in quarantine and us in isolation without people that we should have been reflecting and that we can still reflect upon, move us and change us. Uh, you know, people people are deep and complex and have they're a whole world in and of themselves. And what you say can make or break that. It really can. It can throw somebody, their world off the axis. So let's use our words to build people up. You know what? It really says a lot about a person who builds somebody up instead of quickly cutting them down. I know it's popular to be sarcastic and funny and witty and cut somebody down with words, but I think we've had enough of that. Um, let's start to admire and build and make this world a better place. Shabbat Shalom.